What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Modern Nest Realty podcast. I'm your host, Darren Swain, the owner and proud broker in charge of Modern Nest Realty. And today, we are introducing you guys to Miss Jessica Flack, one of the amazing Modern Nest Realty agents. Y'all, I love this girl to pieces. And Jessica is a true country girl, y'all. She has chickens and ducks and goats and pigs and all kinds of stuff. So give a warm welcome to my girl, Miss Jessica Flack. And today, guys, we're going to be playing 21 questions with Miss Flack. So welcome to the show, honey. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
I'm so excited to be here.
We love you to pieces. So tell everybody how you got started and where you're from at the same time.
Okay. So I'm originally from Rutherfordton County, but I live currently in Lincoln County. And I got started in real estate about the middle of COVID. I was in nursing school and decided I didn't want to do that anymore. And I took a summer off and waited till about September. And I had a friend who was in real estate, and he always looked like he was having a good time. And I just thought, why not try it? My mom actually went on a cruise, and I reached out to my dad and told him I wanted to try it. And my parents are always extremely supportive of anything I want to do. So by the time my mom got back from a cruise, I was signed up for classes and on my journey.
So ready to go. And you were 25, right? When you got licensed?
Yes.
Cool. Gotcha. Okay. So tell us, excuse me, how was your very first client? How did that go?
They were great. They were actually a friend who had some land they wanted to list. Unfortunately, we didn't get it closed, but I learned a lot, and my ambition is to work in extreme land deals. Mm-hmm. You know, I want to do some big land selling, but of course I'm from Rutherford County where there's a lot of farmland. You know, you're right in the foothills. It's very large plots of land, and I always grew up with land, so it's something I really want to get into. And she was so great, and the transaction was really great for me to learn on. And I couldn't have asked for a better first client. It was a learning experience, and it was just fun to work with somebody, especially someone I knew who knew that I was new. Mm-hmm. And, you know. And
I relate to that so hard because my very first listing did not sell either. You know, so I mean, I always tell people, like, we always talk about the houses that we sell. We don't really talk about the ones that we didn't sell.
Right.
You know, like, it's a whole other side of the fence. So tell us, what did you spend your first real estate commission check on?
Oh gosh, what did I spend my first check on? Actually, my first check did not come until about September. And I spent that check paying back my mom for all the help she had given me to keep me afloat through that time period, because I got licensed in January, really right after my 25th birthday. I was officially licensed. I was a provisional broker, which is where you start at, you know, until you get to post-licensing and become a full-on broker. But it was, you know, it went to paying my mom back all that money, all those fees and dues, and then that close to Christmas, you know, the rest of it went back for Christmas.
Right. That's cool. But you had to square up with Mama first. I bet she was so proud. She was like, oh, I'm so proud of you. Give me my money.
Oh, you know she was. I actually just had my second and third closing at the beginning of this year. And I can tell you that money also, I was still in Mama's black book from making it through the new year. You know, a lot of people don't know, but we have a high priced dues that are, you know, paid in January, and it's for the start of the year. So having that closing and then Christmas and then just getting my closings after Christmas, you know, I had acquired back into Mom's black book. So.
Yes. It takes some money to definitely get your business started, you know,
it does.
And you have to have some savings put aside, and you definitely have to have some support, you know, in order to make it the long haul, especially in the beginning of your business where you are building your skill set. Because I know, and I'm going to share your business because that's what we're doing today, but I know you were licensed in January,
correct,
right? But you didn't get your first commission check until September, but you were hustling and actually working with clients during that time. Like you said, you had a listing that didn't sell.
Yes.
You know, you had buyer clients that you were working with and other things that you were working that didn't pan out. You know, it's not like you just started working in August and then got paid in September, you know. So what I will say is that during that time frame, you built a ton of skills, and you also grew a lot as an agent, but you did experience a lot of, rejections and a lot of, stuff like that kind of up front, so where like looking back on it, I feel like you kind of went through that, and then after that, you was just on fire, like you had already had, people are going to tell you no. People are going to, run out and choose another agent. You're going to always have that in this business, but in the beginning, we typically get started with our sphere of influence, the people who are the closest to us and stuff. So I think you did really good, but I think during that time, you really built a lot of your skill set that you use today. And then when it really started to pop off for you, it popped off hard.
Yeah. And I learned a lot, and that was really what the very beginning of my business was. It was education. I learned a lot from a lot of failures. I had some successes, but a lot of it was failures, and that's like just like what I said. My whole family, my friends, my whole sphere of influence was so supportive of me, and really has kept me still in this business, because it is hard and it can be very discouraging. But when you have people cheering you on and
that emotional support,
it helps, and it gets you through those times where you have a failure, and you just have to learn from it and move on and do better.
Preach. I love it. So tell us, what was your funniest moment in real estate?
Oh gosh. So some houses will have these little booties out front, and I can honestly say that this was the funniest moment for one of my clients. So you put the booties on to protect the floors from your shoes, and we were viewing this house, and we all had booties on. Wasn't a big deal. Stepped into the kitchen, slid a little bit. You brace yourself, and you tell them to hold on and be careful with their footing. And this particular property had a basement, and the stairs going down were carpeted. The first step I took sent me all the way to the bottom.
Good Lord.
I'm telling you, when I got to the bottom, there were marks in the wall across from the stairs where someone else had unfortunately met the same outcome. Luckily, I stopped, but I can tell you my clients were at the top of the stairs doubling over.
Oh, wow.
Of course, they asked me if I was fine, but it was funny. It was like a little sledding experience.
How many steps do you think you fell down?
Gosh, 10 or 12 maybe.
Holy crap, that's a lot. Dang. Yeah, those booties should come with helmets.
They really should. I mean, they're there to protect the flooring, and I get it, I 100% do, but it can definitely end in some awkward moments.
So my next question is, what was the weirdest moment that you've had so far in real estate?
Probably one of the weirdest moments I had was showing a home that the seller's son was currently in, and nobody told him that we were coming. So when we went to go in the door, of course he was just as startled as I was when he opened the door and I was standing on the other side. But it was probably one of the weirdest moments, just because, you prepare for anything, but when you get to a home and you're not expecting anyone to be there, they're not expecting you to be there. Right. In this situation. We were scheduled, and I had talked to the agent, but these things still happen. And that was probably one of the weirdest moments, was just kind of walking in.
Surprising somebody.
But,
that's scary.
It is. It was. I mean, and it can be. But you just kind of have to be prepared and be nice and, apologize and hope that you get to go back and see it again.
Right. Okay, so tell me, what was your hardest moment that you've had in real estate?
Oh gosh, my hardest moment would have probably been recently with a transaction. I missed a well and septic inspection, and it was the week before closing, and I had to fix that. That whole week before closing, I had to fix that, and luckily, I got it to close. I had a ton of help from my firm. I had a ton of help from the listing agent, the sellers. The buyers were gracious. It was a hard transaction, but everybody in the transaction was working to get it to close. I had to be very upfront that we had missed it, that I had missed it, and that we had to get it done and make up for it. So we did, and we got it to close. And, in this business, you have to work together, because this is a group effort. It's a group deal. the sellers are giving something, the buyers are getting something, and you have to be willing to work together to really see that to close, because not every transaction is going to be beautiful from start to finish.
Right.
And it was unfortunate that this mistake happened, and it was on me.
Simple mistake, guys, that, in my opinion, that was probably the first mistake that you've ever made. That was your first learning experience,
Yeah.
making a mistake. So that's always going to stick out in your mind,
Yes.
But the way that you handled it, Jessica, to just like own the situation, to be like, hey, this was my bad. I'll correct this. The way you took ownership of the situation and was honest about it, like, people can respect that. It's when you try to lie and you try to hide stuff and you try to, make it somebody else's fault. I think you really showed your integrity and, in that moment, because you owned it, and that transaction had so many different moving parts to it, and there were so many things going on, in something's going to get lost in the sauce, and it just so happened to be that specific inspection. But I mean, we always have to give each other grace, and ask for that same grace ourselves, because I to this day will mess up something, or we'll forget something or whatever. But that's why, we have checklists in place and we have stuff like that. But guys, sometimes you are in a situation where all of the focus and attention is on problem A, B, and C that, D, E, and F aren't really thought about yet.
Right.
So I mean, it happens, but I think you handled it, you overcame it. Everybody gave you grace in the situation because you were honest and you had integrity,
And I appreciate that. It was definitely hard, but like I said, everyone was so, gracious and worked together and was really willing to help me, fix it. And we got it to close. I mean,
But for you, that was like nerve-wracking.
It was. Well, because you don't, it's the same as anything. Like, you don't want to make a mistake for your clients, because we're here to do the best we can and to help them get to where they want to be. But luckily, with the listing agent being just incredibly nice, the sellers being incredibly nice, and my buyers being patient, we got there and got it done.
I love it. So, next question is, what has been your biggest success so far?
My biggest success would definitely still be that same transaction. It's funny how the hardest things you go through are sometimes some of the most rewarding. And that's really what I would compare it to. I'm so thankful we got that to close, and it was, it was a journey, but it was worth every second of it.
Right. I love it. Because that transaction, not to give too many like personal details and stuff, it had elbows and fists and knees and headbutts and, it had so many things, but you stuck with it. I am somebody who has sold a lot of houses. I've been through some stuff. I would have flipped the table. I would have cried. I would have ran home and got under my covers, like probably 4 or 5 times. But the way that you handled it, and that's kind of what I was saying, like, in the beginning of your business, when you experience the rejections and the hard moments and stuff like that, it taught you. It taught you how to handle the situation and how to, how to make moves, and how to move about difficult situations, guys, because people's properties and people's finances is not always crystal clear.
No.
Sometimes we don't know until we are in it. But the level of integrity that you have for your clients and your business, the way that you can be, like, you started your business at 25 and you can say, hey, I made a mistake. Like, that's going to get you so much further in life than, clients can respect that. Clients can respect that Jessica made a simple mistake because she's been dealing with all my other stuff, that one thing got left off, But in my opinion of that situation, I'm just not going to get into the whole opinion because my whole opinion probably wouldn't be nice. But I think that when we're in a transaction, like, my nicer general opinion is multiple parties share responsibility for the situation. Now, as the agent, we're going to take on all of that physical responsibility, but I feel like in your specific situation, you shared responsibility with another nameless individual. And I think that you kind of took a lot of the, I don't want to say blame, but you took ownership of the situation, but you were a party to a mutual situation. So
Yeah.
you have to give yourself a little bit of grace too, because the other individual also missed it.
Yeah. And like I said, it was definitely something that was missed all the way around, but I can only be responsible for the agent's part in it, and that being my part, I had to take responsibility for that. And I did my best to fix it, and it worked out, but I have to give a lot of credit to the support that I had, because every single person helped me. There was not one person in this
All
transaction.
hands on deck.
Yeah, there was not one person in this transaction that turned their nose up or their back to me and would not help me fix it, and get everything done. And I will forever be grateful for all that help that I had.
Right.
Because you won't get that everywhere. You won't get that same grace from everyone.
That is true. So the next question is, how has real estate changed your life?
How has real estate changed my life? I absolutely love my job. It is extremely hard at times, but I love it, and I couldn't imagine doing anything else. Being able to be in real estate has given me, really a career that I enjoy and love working with, while also giving me time for my family. I have kids, I've got a mom. Mother's Day is coming up. Remember your moms, people. I'm a mom, and I have a mom, and I've got family that really, this job gives me time to be with them. It gives me time to work my schedule around important moments with my kids and holidays. My mom's a nurse, and I have a lot of friends that are nurses. Shout out to nurses for all your hard work. There's a lot of holidays that most people work. It's not an option. There are important things that people have to miss because they can't get their hours changed. And I will be always very thankful for this job and how it allows me to still have a very active social life with my friends and my family.
Yes, absolutely. I love it. So the next question is, what would you tell a brand new agent?
I would tell a brand new agent to hold on, that it does not get easier, but it gets better. And it is worth it. It is worth the schooling and the dues that you have to pay and the failures that you will have. Your successes are going to be worth it. And when you are first starting out and business is slow and you're still, working on your leads and getting started, it can be very discouraging, which is why you have to have a good support system. Like I said, I have and had a fantastic support system through my whole journey as a real estate agent. And you really have to have that. And, just be patient with yourself. Hold on. It gets better. It don't get easier, but it gets better. And have patience with yourself. Give yourself time to really see what you can do.
I love that. So what is the biggest thing that you have learned?
Probably the biggest thing that I have learned is how to talk to people. I say that there's not much that can't be talked out, and I do believe that. I believe that if you, really sit down and talk to somebody, you can figure out pretty much anything. Most people don't want issues or, don't want to struggle. They just want to talk it out. And I will say that's probably the biggest thing that I have learned, just talking to people, meeting people.
You think your communication has gotten better? It's changed your communication?
Right. And you do, and you meet a lot of people, and I've made so many friends in this business.
You find some interesting people.
You do. Like that one transaction, that listing agent, I hope to work with him again. He was so fantastic. It was great to get to meet him, and you do build a lot of friendships, and you learn how to communicate with people in this business.
Yes, I love that. So what is something that you are super passionate about? What are you passionate about?
So, like I said, I have a farm, and I'm probably the most passionate about animals.
Yes.
A lot of my transactions have been with farmland, a little bit of acreage, people who will have chickens or something, and I have a little farm, and I just love stuff like that.
Yeah, I have seen this woman. Jessica had a beehive. Is that what you call it? A beehive?
Yes.
She had a beehive like last year or whatever, but I was at Jessica's farm and there was this stray bee like on her patio table. And this lady picks this bee up with her bare index finger and walks it all the way to the little beehive and puts it back in there. And I was so amazed. I was like, this lady done picked up this bee right here and waltzed it over to the beehive. Like, you love animals.
I do love animals, and let's be clear, my bees didn't make it last year, so this was a stray wild bee, and I am just not a real estate agent for people, okay? I needed this bee to check out my hive box and just love it and decide that he needed to call it home. Unfortunately, he did not.
Yes.
But
And Jessica has a pet snake as well.
I do have a snake. I have a ball python. I highly recommend snakes. I know they're not a lot of people's, main choice of pet, but they can be a lot of fun, and I don't know, they're very cool to have, I think.
I know that we are both very passionate about our love for the flea market. Me and
Yes.
Jessica both love the flea market. Like, we love going, finding those little deals and getting plants and getting like all kinds of random cool stuff. Like, I'm always like, either you're usually at the flea market more than me, and I get jealous. Like,
I love going
if
to
you
the flea
call me and
market.
you're like, I'm at the flea market, I'm like, I can't with you right now because I want to go to the flea market. So tell us a little bit about what you have going on like right now in your business. Like, what are you working on? What are you doing?
I have a couple buyers out in the market, hopefully with some clients closing soon. The winter market is slower. It's cold. People don't want to move. Your kids are right in the middle of school. If you have kids, it's not convenient, I guess would be the right word. But we're coming up on the summer market, and it is one of the better markets to be in. There's going to be more inventory for, buyers to get out here and look at, and I'm just working on getting ready for this summer market.
Right.
I hope it's good. Last summer's market was crazy, which was when I started. Some of the more experienced agents out here were having, a crazy summer, and I was still just floating through trying to get my mind wrapped around what I needed to do and how best to do it. So I hope that this summer brings more success to me and my clients.
Oh, yes. Jessica, y'all, she's not going to, toot her own horn, but I will beep for her, okay? Jessica's on track to do millions of dollars in production this year. Don't let her fool you and being so novice, because she is very, very good at what she does. But that's my next question. What do you specialize in when it comes to real estate? Who is like your ideal client? What do you love to do in real estate?
Well, I guess I do just love helping people, but if I had to decide what I specialized on, it would probably be more of like your country living, your quiet outdoor settings.
Country lifestyle people.
Yeah, I don't know that I've sold to anybody who is not starting a garden this year. Chickens on the horizon for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that quiet lifestyle. I live that quiet lifestyle.
And I so enjoy, I've lived in the city limits, because I grew up not too far from where you grew up. I'm a country person myself.
Yes.
But I have found myself living in the city limits for quite some time now, But when I go to your farm, it is so peaceful. And the things that you have taught me, just like all kinds of like random things when it comes to country living and farming and stuff like that, it's definitely a total skill. And it's totally a niche market. I didn't know what a no-mow yard was until you told me. And that's like a
Yes.
natural yard where you get all these butterflies, all these, birds and stuff like that. I had no idea like what that was at all.
Yeah, shout out. If you have a place to have a no-mow section in your yard where you can plant some wildflowers or some wild plants, please do help our native pollinators out there. I'm someone who does practice no-mow, or I try to the best of my ability. Of course, it's not for everybody, and like you said, living in the city limits, for some people it's not possible, but I do enjoy it.
I think it's so cool. I think there's so many, like you said, benefits to that, to wildlife and stuff that like us here in like the city limits, we don't really take into account because everybody mows their grass once a week. You know, it's kind of just like the norm. But you also are certified in commercial real estate as well. But you definitely help a lot of, you know, that country lifestyle, selling properties with acreages and stuff that people plan to use for farms and agricultural and stuff like that. Y'all know I'm obsessed with horses, and Jessica knows that. Jessica used to have a horse. But you definitely are so well versed in that lifestyle and what it really takes and what they need with that land and stuff like that.
Yes, it can be a lot, especially when you start dealing with like wells and septic tanks and property lines, you know, a non-state maintained road that's shared, and you know, all members have to contribute to rock or having it repaved when it's time. You know, it can be a lot, and it can take a lot more investigation sometimes than other properties just to know really what's going on with it.
Right. Totally. Okay, so what has been your favorite thing about selling real estate?
My favorite thing about selling real estate, that might be a tie. Um, I I've enjoyed the business, just working in it, seeing different kind of properties, but also the people. You meet some really great people in this business who have a lot to teach you, have a lot of experiences to share with you, and are just kind of all around great people to know.
Right.
Really, like I said earlier, I've made a lot of friends. I hope I've made a lot of friends. You know, they certainly have a friend in me.
You meet some cool people that you would never have such an intimate relationship any other way.
Yes.
You know, like coming into their home, coming into their finances, you know, like you meet some really, really cool people. The next question is, what have you learned about houses?
Probably the number one thing that I have learned about houses is that there is always going to be something you don't see.
Right.
Okay. A lot of people don't realize that unless you're out here shopping around for a new build, you have to understand that what you're getting, it's a home that's been lived in, you know. It's a home that's been in the climate and the weather, and it's going to have some things. And you can't, you know, I think sometimes, it's like with inspections especially, sometimes buyers get a little bothered by what they see, but a lot of it can be normal, you know, for a lack of a better term, wear and tear on a house. Mm-hmm. You know, things do age, and it can, you know, it can show in things, and people just have to learn, just like I have, that you can't be startled about stuff that you kind of have to expect.
Right.
You know, and I will say that I have seen some beautiful houses, and then you crawl underneath and you're like, what happened?
There's a river in the crawl space.
But you just gotta have to be prepared for that, and that can happen, you know. And I think it's part of it is learning that there's gonna be the good with the bad.
Right. Every house, I always tell people, is such a specific individual situation. You don't know if the person living there before has maintained it. A lot of times in the older houses, it's either in the crawl space or in the attic. We might not always see that during the showing, you know? So, I mean, every house has its own character, personality, smell. Oh my God. Like, you know, they're all individual.
And its own history. I think each property is made different by the people who have lived in it. Mm-hmm. You know, its location, what it's seen. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can really tell.
Yep. So next question is, how has your experience been at Modern Nest Realty?
Oh.
No pressure.
I absolutely love working here. Y'all have become some of my best friends. I enjoy every day that I get to come to the office. You know, as I said, you've helped me through so many things, vacations, crazy transactions, where if I wouldn't have had someone to stand at my back and help me get through them, you know, I wouldn't have.
Right.
And I know I tell you all the time, but I'm going to tell you again of just how thankful I am to be here and to be a part of this. And, you know, I can't wait to see where we go.
we're so thankful to have you, for one, but for two, you bring such good energy to the table. We have a lot of similarities in different ways. We're also different in different ways, but you are sincere, and you were honest. And I think that you've done so good, in real estate in the short time that you have been licensed. This is not an easy business. And I can relate to starting your business in your mid to early 20s, and what that feels like and stuff like that. But you bring such great energy into the office. You always have the most positive perspective, and you have definitely seen me in different professional and personal moments of my life as well. You were at the hospital with me when I was about to have emergency surgery, and I thought I was like, didn't know if I was coming or going.
Yeah.
Jessica has seen me like probably curse nurses and like throw up, pass out, get IVs. Like you've been in it. So I definitely appreciate all of the love and support that you show us as well, because we work with each other, we help each other.
Yeah.
And that is one of the things that I am so thankful about with starting Modern Nest, is that we are not that big box brokerage to where our experience is a little bit different. My biggest pet peeve, and I've been with different big firms, is a lot of those agents don't even have any relationship to their broker in charge.
Yes.
Their broker in charge doesn't know how to pronounce their name. And for me, I feel like that is such bullshit. Because you need that help, you need that support, and there's different legal obligations and all that good stuff. However, I feel like your broker in charge is a phone call away. If you need help with the situation, or,
Yes.
or things are escalating, um, as in our office, if things are escalating with the client and you need to reach out and reach out to me to get help and support, I don't mind getting on the phone or getting on the Zoom, going to the appointment, doing whatever it takes. If you feel like, especially if people being disrespectful, I have a hard line. I protect the birds of our nest, and I am like, you're not going to talk to our people like that. You're not going to do stuff like that. I am not the broker in charge that's scared to step in politely to a situation,
Yeah.
that's not what it should be. I'm not scared to call someone else's broker in charge and, let them know of unethical dealings and, stuff like that. But we have such a great office vibe. You bring a lot of really good energy to the table. Like, you are a hustler. I know you haven't been licensed, a long time. And I also know that, in your first, what is it, like 6 months, 8 months, something like that, like you were pounding the streets, and the success that you're having now, a lot of that is coming from the skills that you built during that time frame. And I've watched your skill set like quadruple when it comes to consultations and contracts and all the different things that we have to be a full level expert at. But just your humility, your willingness to learn and to grow. When I saw you own that mistake, like when you called me and you were having your little panic moment and you're like, oh my God, what do I do? And I'm like, this is what you do, girl. Step one is own it,
Yeah.
and tell the truth. How quickly you were able to just walk into that, I think that's impressive for me. I'm impressed by that. But you have tons of skills. You have obviously commercial designations. You have commercial skills as well. But I see and feel and hear about the impact that you make in people's lives, and with your real estate gifts. So we are so proud of you, and we are always rooting for you, and we appreciate you obviously being with us. But what is your opinion when it comes to the big box firm, big box brokerage versus a smaller firm? Because I know you experienced a little bit of big box brokerage. Now you're at a smaller firm. What is the difference to you?
I really like this question. I see this. This is something that I think a lot of agents have an opinion on. I will say this. I do see a lot of opinions on this from agents. And I don't necessarily think that one is better than the other. I think that each one offers different things.
Right.
So, like I said, when I was starting out, and something that I also highly recommend for new agents. As you said, I'm commercially certified. When I was first starting out and I didn't have a lot of business, and I had all those failures, like granted, those failures taught me, but I also used that time to take classes offered. Let me backtrack a little bit. I started with a big box firm. So I had a lot of time to educate myself, and that is something that I will say about firms that are, really big with lots of agents. They offer a lot of education, and that can be beneficial for a new agent.
To plug and play.
Yes, and I do think that a lot of new agents start with bigger firms unless you just already know somebody in a little firm who you would like to work with. I do think that a lot of agents start out there, and I would say that you can get a lot of education provided to you by big firms, and that is great. Obviously, they want their agents to be educated, and as you know, we pay a lot for some educational courses that we have to take or that we are interested in to advance our skills in a different, part of this business. And for me, big box firms can help with that. They can help you get those educations for less, and they offer a lot more. Now, I'm very happy to be at Modern Nest, and now in my business, I love being with a small firm because I can, like you said, reach out to you pretty much anytime. And that is a big thing. And that is also something that I would say matters for new agents too, because you have a lot of questions. I can remember when I had to call for help to get into a super box. And if you don't know what a super box is, you'll see one when you go to look for a house. Okay? Because they still fight me to this day.
Right.
Okay? But I just think there's good things and bad things about both.
Right.
But I love being here, and I love being in Modern Nest and a part of this firm, and I couldn't imagine not having the close connection with my broker in charge that I have with you now.
Right.
Because it's what saved me numerous times. When I have a question, when something comes up and I've never seen it before, I have to call and ask.
Right. Yeah. I think it makes me feel bad for the agents who do not have a personal relationship with their broker in charge, especially if they're a provisional agent. You're supposed to work directly with, under the supervision of that broker in charge. So if you're the broker in charge of a firm with 500 agents, let's say 125 of those are provisional, that's impossible. Yeah. Okay.
And it's scary out here. When you're new, it's scary. It is terrifying to have questions or get in a place where you don't know what to do and feel like you don't have anybody to reach out to.
Yeah. And it's scary, and you don't want to find yourself practicing on the backs of your clients and learning on the back of your client. You want to ask those questions, get that support. That's our ethical duty. If that is not your subject matter expertise, you need to reach out and get that assistance and stuff. And a lot of agents mess up when they try to cross that line and to try to do commercial or try to do, investments or try to do stuff they're not qualified and skilled in.
Right.
Without the assistance of a broker in charge or, somebody like that. For me, I feel like the broker in charge, that's the head of the fish, that's the start of the firm, the head of the firm, and you need to have their guidance and their experience, as a benefit to your business, that to me, like when you pay dues and when you pay office fees and stuff, that is what you're paying for. We all know plenty of people who have done a dozen transactions with the firm and have never dealt with their broker in charge at all.
Yes, I've met plenty of agents like that, and when you are in a situation like that where you can't reach out to somebody, or not even same day, but within a few days,
you find yourself in a realtor Facebook group asking questions and just getting roasted and having 400 people tell you, ask your broker in charge.
Right, and not everybody has that ability,
and that's sad. That's what makes me sad.
It is like it can make or break a deal for your clients if you can't get that help that you need. When it comes down to the bottom line, it can make or break you when you don't have support.
Yes. When it comes down to the get down.
Yes.
You're going to have support. And in the beginning of your business, you're not always going to have all those levels of support, where like for your situation, you had your parents for financial support, you had a firm, you had educational resources, stuff like that. The levels of support that you will have will change over time, know, but there are those, fundamental levels of support that you can't skip.
Right.
that you're going to have. But that's my thing. I hate it when agents don't have a relationship with their broker in charge, because I'm like, you're a part of that firm. You should have that broker in charge should be your representative, but your advocate as well. And if you're having issues with the client or an agent or something like that, like that agent, that broker in charge needs to step in. We owe that to support our agents. And I think that is one of the beautiful things about owning Modern Nest Realty for myself, that I can say, like, I can jump in where I am needed, and when our agents need me to step in or need my expertise, like, I can come in and it's easy.
Yeah. And that's why it's important to also make connections out here, because you never know when you're going to need to reach out to somebody else. I have questions and need help all the time, and there are people who are not with our firm that I can reach out to and say, hey,
right,
I need this, or I need this, or do you know somebody who will help me
and
with
it's the same thing for me. Like, I don't know the answer to everything, believe it or not. So there are other broker in charges that I reach out to, and I'm like, friend, have you ever seen this before? Have you ever had a client do this? So I mean, we all have to have a network of resources to reach out and reach up. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm very fortunate that I have met great people that I can reach out to.
I am too. I am like so with that. So where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years, I hope that I'm with this firm and we have grown and accomplished so much, and I really can't wait to see where we're at in 5 years. I hope that we have other branches open in different locations. I know right now we just have an office in Concord, but I hope to see it expand, and I can't wait to see where we go.
Yes, to grow the different divisions and different, avenues of the firm that we have the vision and stuff for. Because we're still a new business too. We're still a new small business. So, it takes time to get all the aces in their places and get everything going. But I'm so proud of all of us and the work that we have done, because we kill it. We kill it.
Yes.
And last question is, where do you hope to be at the end of this year?
I would say that I would like to be at the end of a very successful year. My first year, however, and I laugh about this with y'all, I only did one transaction. This year, I have already completed 2, and I'm currently working on my 3rd. So when you at the bottom, you can't go no much. You can't go much farther. I've already reached my goal to be successful. I've already had more than I had last year, and now I'm just building on it. And I'm so excited that by the end of this year, I will have reached new goals that I wasn't even prepared for.
You're going to have 10 times the business this year that you had last year.
Where
some people just double their business, you're going to like tenfold your business. You're definitely, with what you have going on, you're definitely going to be producing millions of dollars in sales this year. So this is your first, multiple $1 million producing year, and we're in the summer market. I know you're working and you're busy and you got clients and potentials and stuff. So it's definitely hustle season. But I think that when we are closing out fourth quarter, because you already got, I see your numbers, baby. You already got hands on second quarter, okay? And I know by the time we get to the end of fourth quarter, I think you're going to be very impressed. I think you're going to be impressed with yourself, and I think you're just going to continue to do so fabulous. But we love you to pieces, and I want to thank you for being here with us today. Guys, if you are looking in the Lincoln County area, Jessica is the local expert, honey. If you need a farm, or you need, commercial services, or you need stuff like that, she is definitely a great resource to reach out to. But we appreciate you guys so much for tuning in and listening all about Miss Flack, and we will see you guys next time.
Thank you.